This is web learner. I hope you have started your year very well. The struggle continues. One of the first chapters that you are going to deal with in grade 11 is quadratic equations, and I want to show you one of the methods that I use to solve a quadratic equation, that is completing the square. The concept is used in different chapters. So it's one of the very important concepts which you are supposed to know. We want to solve this quadratic equation, x squared minus 10x minus 24 is equal to 0. Our first step here, I want us to take as this 24 to the other side. We use additive inverse. That's x squared minus 10x minus 24. The additive inverse of minus 24 is positive 24. Is equal to 0, so we add, in other words, we are saying we add 24 to both sides, so it's going to be x squared minus 10x minus 24 plus 24. It gives us a 0, and it's equal to 0 plus 24 is 24. So this is what we have now. X squared minus 10x is equal to 24. Now, the very important part of completing the square is what we are doing now. We want to add the squared half of the coefficient of x. So negative 10, half of negative 10, it's negative 5, right? So we are adding negative 5, which is squared. Half of negative 10 is negative 5. So that's the one we are adding to both sides. It has to be squared. Negative 5 squared. It has to be squared, right? The squared half of the coefficient of x. Now, from there is a trick, a shortcut that we have to do. In actual fact, we are supposed to factorize this left-hand side, but the shorter way of doing it is to just create a bracket, and in this bracket we are putting this x and this negative 5. So it's x minus 5, and then this has to be squared. We are done with the left hand side, and it's equal to, simplify this right side, negative 5 squared is 25 plus 24 is 49. And then, how do we solve this equation? We want to get rid of this squared. On the left side, it has to go to the right side. We do the opposite. The opposite of squaring is to use square root. And we are putting square root to both sides. Remember, there is a 2 that we don't put here, but we know it is there. So these will cancel each other. We are left with x minus 5, and it's equal to, when we simplify here, it has to be either positive or negative 7, right? Remember, positive 7 squared gives us 49, negative 7 squared also gives us 49. And then from there, the additive inverse, negative 5, it goes to the other side, it becomes positive 5, so it's plus or minus 7. So our x then would be equal to either 5 plus 7, that's equal to 12, or 5 minus 7, that's negative 2. So for this equation, our x is either 12 or negative 2. Let's look at another one. Is 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 is equal to 0. This one is slightly different. The leading coefficient here, coefficient of x squared, is not 1. It was 1 here, but this time it's not 1. But before we can do all what we're doing here, we need to get rid of this 2 by dividing by 2 through, and we're left with this equation: x squared minus 5 over 2x plus 3 over 2 is equal to 0. And then take this to the other side. It's x squared minus 5 over 2x, and is equal to, is positive, it becomes negative 3 over 2. And then, just like we did here, half of 5 over 2. How do you get half of 5 over 2? 5 over 2 times 1 over 2. 5 over 2 times 1 over 2, it gives us 5 over 4. Remember, it has to be squared, and we're adding it to both sides. 5 over 4 squared. It has to be squared, right? And then, just like we did here, we create a bracket. The bracket, we take these 2, and we take, okay, it's a negative here because coming from a negative, so it's minus 5 over 4, and it's squared. It's equal to, this one becomes, this one squared becomes 25 over 16. And this one also, for us to be able to add it here, for the 2 to get to 16, we multiply by 8 over 8. So 8 times negative 3 is negative 24 over 16 we are adding. And this is equal to 20 minus 24 plus 25 is 1 over 16. And on the other side is x minus 5 over 4 squared. And then put square roots to both sides. We are left with x minus 5 over 4 is equal to square root of 1 over 16, which gives us 1 over 4. And there is a plus or minus there. You should not forget that plus or minus. Take this to the other side. We have x is equal to, it's negative, it goes to the other side, it becomes positive 5 over 4. And then plus or minus 1 over 16, square root of 1 over 16 is 1 over 4. So we are saying here our x here from here, 5 over 4 plus 1 over 4 is 6 over 4, or 5 over 4 minus 1 over 4 is 4 over 4, which gives us a 1. So the values of x is either 6 over 4, which is also equal to 3 over 2, or 1. This is how we complete the square. Now the one that I want you to do now, you know the general form of a quadratic equation, it's a x squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Try to solve this one by completing the square. Remember, practice makes perfect, so continue practicing. You'll eventually become perfect. Enjoy.